City Council meeting, August 15th, has come to order. Can we please stand up for Pledge of Allegiance? And Jackie, would you lead us in Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody, please remain standing for the moment of silence for the first responders and the military members. Thank you. Please be seated. May I have roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Soto?
Present.
Councilmember Mann?
Present.
Councilmember Roth?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Samra?
Present.
Mayor Moran? For the record, Mayor Moran is not in attendance. His absence is excused.
Thank you. Council or city manager, anybody changes to the agenda?
Just one item, Mayor Pro Tem, serving in the capacity as chair of the meeting. There is one item, the Pacific Coast Khalsa Daiwan Society fee waiver request. Staff is pulling that one. Someone came in and paid for that fee, so the council doesn't need to waive that fee. That's all, Mayor.
Thank you. Council, any other changes? Okay. If not, then we'll move on to citizen comment. This section of the agenda allows the members of the public to address the city council on any item not on the agenda and items on the agenda. If you wish to speak an item on the agenda, please state the item number. Members of the public, when recognized by the mayor, should come forward to the lectern and identify themselves. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes in accordance with the state open meeting laws. No action will be taken by the city council this evening. Does anybody from the public wish to speak on any item, the citizen comment? Anybody on the phone? Hearing no one, we'll move on. I don't see Supervisor Espinoza. We'll move on to city announcements and reports. It's listed, Ms. Benoit.
Good evening, everyone. I wanted to make sure that you guys did get an update on the pool. So here it goes. So we opened June the 12th and we closed June the 4th. We operated Monday through Friday. The district did deny us weekend rentals or special events. So we had a possible 39 days to be open. We were closed 10 of those 39 days due to chemical issues and mechanical pump failures at the pool. Of the 29 remaining days, 9 days closed early due to chemical issues and mechanical pump failure. We offered 3 two-week lesson sessions. We taught 524 lessons, and even with the frustration of the pool closing, we only had 6 parents ask for a refund. So I felt like that was wonderful. They did try to make them up on days that we didn't normally, but overall, parents were very happy. So we had 20 open swim sessions, and they averaged 47 participants. We employed 10 teens and 1 adult to work the pool. Every single one did an outstanding job, and we will welcome them back next year. We had no casualties and very few incidents. The fire department partnered in training, working with my staff, getting victims in and out of the water on the backboard. Provided the pool is repaired and we're able to come have an updated joint use agreement in place, we will have 55 kids that pass the beginner 2 class and would qualify for our swim team.
Great.
Anyway, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Council, any questions of Ms. Benoit?
Nothing. And so this is a freebie. Sorry, Christopher, I didn't give this to you, but you'll see these on a number of the restaurants' tables. They're allowing us to promote the Sweet Potato Festival, and through the little QR code, you can go straight to the website and find out everything that's going to be happening, and we're updating it daily.
Has the talent, music, and everybody's all been all booked and ready to go?
Yes, we have.
Oh,
the talent ready to go.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Any other staff members for an update? No? Okay. Mr. Lopez?
Nothing tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, council member announcements and reports. Councilmember Mon?
No updates at this time, sir. Thank you.
Councilmember Roth?
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. On August 8th, I attended the Planning Commission meeting. There was a couple of concerns that they did have. Again, it was not televised. They had a whole list, and I did forward that to the city manager, and we got some answers on that, and I will report back to the Planning Commission. One was a concern about traffic on Peach. Another concern was about the stray animals running around the city, especially Main Street, the Chihuahua herd. So as I said, city manager got back with me, and I will report back to them. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Soto, any report out?
I will be attending LAFCO this Thursday. I will also be attending a conference in September for Cal Cities and another for California LAFCO in October. I did attend this afternoon the reopening of the community center in Planada. It was a very heartfelt welcoming back for the residents of Planada. It was disappointing not to see the county supervisor there to represent and speak on what had occurred in Planada and how it affected. And there was many updates throughout council meetings of the progress that was made and moving forward, some of the grants and availability of resources that will be going to the community of Planada to help them rebuild. So it was really a really heartfelt and exciting time for the residents there in Planada. I did also just sat in the audience for the Planning Commission meeting last week. They did also bring up some of the yard sale issues, and that has been brought up at council as well, some of the concerns of permits, whether they're being issued, and the guidelines for residents to be cleaning up after themselves after they've posted up signs. So those were some of the concerns as well. And just a follow-up. Mr. Vera is not here tonight. Was there any kind of discussion? Or I know that it was unfortunate that I didn't receive any email, but he was sworn in last week, and I wasn't aware of that. I don't believe the public was aware. Was there anything that was said?
He was provided all the information from Monica, the deputy city clerk. And so I believe we're in the process of getting him a laptop and a city-issued phone.
Thank you. I believe that's it for now.
Thank you. For me, I attended the mosquito abatement meeting today. Bit of a bad news, Merced County has reported 2 year-to-date West Nile virus cases. This is a human infection. One is in Dos Palos, and unfortunately others in Livingston. Based on that, this week, mosquito abatement will be spraying every street, and there'll also be aerial spraying being done as well. So we need to make staff, everybody aware of it, the police department, in case somebody calls and has concerns, so we can relay that information to them, that there's nothing to be concerned about, but that's what we're doing. And other than that, at the mosquito abatement, got to see the project that's moving forward, almost $8 million for building new buildings over there and new administration building. Got to see a presentation. It's going to be nice. And it's not Taj Mahal. It's not fancy, made out of prefab material, but considering what we have over there now, it'll be nice. It'll be about 2 years before it gets done, about $8 million total cost. It's not just the administration building, it's the supporting buildings for trucks and all that equipment, and repairs and everything else are included. On that, I don't have anything else. In moving on to consent agenda, items on the consent calendar are considered routine and non-controversial, will be enacted by one vote. Let's say separate action is requested by the city manager or city council member. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless members of the city council or city manager request a specific item be removed. Does anybody wish to pull any item for discussion? If not, then we have two items. One is to waive the reading of ordinance and resolution. City council waive their reading in full of ordinance and resolution of the agenda and adopt by reading the title only, unless otherwise requested by the mayor or the council member. Item two, this is a resolution approving the agreement between Merced County Association Government and the City of Livingston for the administration of the Merced County Multi-Jurisdictional Housing Elements Contract.
If I may,
Yes, please.
I had a question in regards to the second item.
Yes, please.
So it says the payment due is 57.5. Does that count? Is that what we're paying forward, or is that excluding the deposit that was made December 2022?
So just looking at it, it looks like the total cost is $57,000. That's the city of Livingston's portion. I do not believe that it will exceed that amount at all.
So that's the total amount.
That's correct.
Okay, so it's not reflecting that we've already made 20% payment?
Correct. And if I understand correctly, this is purely an administrative item that needs to be rectified in order to allow the work by this group to occur on behalf of MCAG and on behalf of the city of Livingston. Sure.
Okay, because the item was pulled, this item is not open to the public. Does anybody from the public have any questions? If not, anybody on the phone? Okay, then there's no questions, so we'll bring it back to the council. Does anybody wish to make the motion on the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion to approve this consent agenda.
I have a motion by Councilmember Roth. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilwoman Soto. May I have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Mann?
Yes.
Councilmember Roth?
Yes.
Councilmember Samra? Mayor Pro Tem Samra? Sorry.
Thank you for the temporary promotion. I appreciate it. Yes.
Okay, motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you. Item 3 was pulled. Item 4, discussion on the direction of waiving the parks and recreation fees for the Livingston Wolves youth football and for the use of Everness Field. It's Miss Benoit's show today.
It is. This is probably familiar to most of you. We have several organizations in town that run youth leagues, and Livingston Wolves Youth Football is one of those. So you have before you a staff report, and we're looking for direction on which way you guys would like to go with the fee waiver. So on June 30th, Chris Farinelli submitted a facility use form to the recreation staff for the use of Alverness Field and Memorial Park facilities on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays for youth football and cheer. Previously, the organization has used the facilities with no issues or complaints. As part of the city's requirements, the group will be required to obtain and provide an insurance certificate. So the City of Livingston has a park and recreation fee policy in place, which was adopted in 2008 and updated in 2022, which is attached for reference. And according to the policy, it is understood that on occasion, special consideration may be needed in determining fees for groups or individuals having circumstances uncommon to those in the fee structure criteria. In these cases, the city council or city manager will approve those requests. Requests for a variance shall be submitted in writing to the city manager 30 days prior to the date of promotion. So the Livingston Wolves Youth Football is categorized as a Class II user group. If charged for the facility, the fee would be 6 hours per week at $23 per hour for 12 weeks for a total of $1,656. So the revenue loss would be $1,656. So the city council has the discretion to approve or deny the waiving of fees for facility use. Staff recommends the following 3 options for the city council's consideration. 1, adopt the resolution and allow the Livingston Wolves Youth Football to use Alvarez Field and Memorial Park and waive any and all fees. 2, deny waiving the fees, or 3, continue the item and provide alternative direction. As you can see, the fiscal impact would be $1,656, and so this amount would need to be made up from an additional revenue in another revenue line or cost savings from an expense line.
Thank you. This item is now open to the public. Does anybody wish to comment on this item? Anybody on the phone? If not, I'll bring it back to the council. Council, any questions? Any questions, anybody? I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment. I know that there's a small loss of revenue, few dollars, not much. And that's always been my feeling over the years. To support recreation, we need to have these kids throwing balls instead of rocks out in the streets. So if giving a few dollars here helps out the organization to provide service that's to our kids anyway, I've always been all for that. So, council, any further comments? At this time, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion is to what? There's adopt the resolution or deny the waiving fees? Or
So sorry. To adopt a resolution and allow Livingston Youth the football and cheer to use Alvarez Field and Memorial Park and waive any and all fees.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Soto. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second by Councilmember Roth. May I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Roll call. Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Mann?
Yes.
Councilmember Roth?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Samra?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Okay, item number 5, this is a discussion and direction on waiving the Parks and Recreation fee for Central California United Football Soccer for use of the Odie Ortiz soccer field. Ms. Benoit, while you're there.
So staff recommends council provide direction for a fee waiver for Odie Ortiz soccer field use for the Central California United FC soccer program, September 1st, 2023 through November 30th, 2023. So in late June 2023, Anna Alberto contacted recreation staff for the use of Odie Ortiz soccer field for games on Sundays from August 27th through the last Sunday in November for youth soccer games. The organization has used the field in the past and has used it with use fees waived. The organization will mark the fields and provide their own nets. The organization will open, close, and clean up. The required insurance certificate already has been provided and is included in the package below. The organization has asked for a fee waiver and for the field for their games. The City of Livingston has a park and recreation fee policy in place in which was adopted in 2008 and updated in 2022, which is attached for your reference. The fee policy states special non-profit group organizations, schools, or organizations providing a free service to the community identified by the Recreation Department may be granted special considerations in the form of reduced rate. And according to the policy, it is understood that on special consideration it may be needed in determining fees for groups or individuals having circumstances uncommon to those in the fee structure criteria. And in these cases, the city council or city manager will approve those requests. Requests for a variance shall be submitted in writing to the city manager 30 days prior to the date of promotion. So the Central California United FC soccer program is categorized as a Class II user group. If charged for the facility, the fee would be 9 hours per week at $23 per hour for 12 weeks for a total of $2,634. Revenue loss would be $2,634. So the City Council has the direction to approve or deny the waiving of the fees for the facility use. Staff recommends the following 3 options for the City Council's consideration: to adopt the resolution and allow the Central California United FC soccer program use of Odie Ortiz soccer field and waive any and all fees; deny waiving the fees; or 3, continue the item to or provide alternative direction.
Thank you. This item is now open to the public. Does anybody from the public wish to comment? Anybody on the phone? If not, this item is now closed to the public. Council, any questions?
Jackie, I do have a question, and I should have asked it prior to this one, but were they asked to provide a nonprofit, proof of nonprofit
Actually, we have it on file.
for both
Yes.
groups?
Yes.
Okay.
And both of them are up to date.
And because I don't know about the soccer program, this is a travel.
It is a travel league, and they actually have used our fields and the lights, and they were under Livingston, another name, but Livingston United FC is what they are currently calling themselves.
And primarily made up of Livingston youth,
residents.
51% or more?
51%. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further comments, council? If not, I will entertain a motion at this time.
I'd like to make the motion to waive the park and recreation fees to the Central California United FC Soccer for the use of the Odie Ortiz soccer field.
I have a motion by Councilmember Roth. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, sir.
Second by Councilmember Mann. May I have roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Mann?
Yes.
Councilmember Roth?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Samra?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you. Okay, item 6, this is a discussion and direction on appointing 2 council members to attend the Merced County Multi-Jurisdiction Housing Element Update Workshop scheduled for Tuesday, August 29th at 6 to 8, the Livingston Council Chambers.
So Mayor Pro Tem, just a brief update on this one. In order to be pretty cautious and transparent, we are asking for council direction on appointing 2 council members to attend this workshop. This is a community-based workshop. We didn't want it to run into any sort of Brown Act violations by having multiple council members potentially speak at this event. And so in order to avoid that, we're asking the council to appoint 2 delegates at this community workshop. I should add that there will be an opportunity for the entire council members that may not be attending this workshop to provide their formal update, direction, and feedback at a future council meeting date. And so this is purely to avoid any Brown Act violations, potential Brown Act violations in the future. That concludes the report, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Mr. Santos, a quick question. I know if with this moves forward, we appoint 2 members to attend. Does it prohibit others from attending or just not commenting?
Ideally, you would want it to limit it to just the 2 council members. And the reason being is if a 3rd council member attends, you now have a quorum of the council present at a meeting. And so you'd have to do a separate noticing of the quorum, and there does run the risk of running afoul of the Brown Act relating to potential issues of serial meetings and things like that. It just makes it really hard for council members because if any member of the public wishes to ask you questions on an item that will later come to the council for consideration, that's the concern.
Thank you. I think we all got it. I know the mayor is not here, but I'm sure he's aware of it as well. So at this time, I always like to ask for volunteers. Anybody who wish to attend?
I can volunteer myself, sir.
Okay.
I can do so as well.
Does anybody else?
I can also volunteer.
Okay, because we do have 3 volunteers. It will now go to a vote, I believe.
That wouldn't be necessary. I can withdraw my
Okay.
volunteerism.
Huh? Mr. Roth is withdrawing his volunteerism, as it's a word, better word. So at this time, we have 2 volunteers that will attend. And I don't think this requires any vote other than, does it require a vote? I don't, there's no,
It would require a motion
Okay.
and a second.
okay, then I have 2 volunteers, Councilmember Rahman and Councilwoman Soto. Do I have a motion to appoint those 2?
I would also recommend going out for public comment, just
Okay.
to be
Thank
safe.
you very- Okay. All right, then this item is now open to the public. Does anybody wish to speak on this item? Anybody on the phone? If not, then it's closed to the public. Does anybody wish to make a motion on 2 volunteers? I will make the motion to appoint Councilmember Rahman and Councilwoman Soto to attend the Merced County Multi-Jurisdiction Housing Element Update Workshop for August 29th from 6 to 8. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Councilmember Rahman. May I have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Mann?
Yes.
Councilmember Roth?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Samra?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you. Okay, item number 7. I need to declare a conflict here. There's no financial interest in it, but I do live across the street from one of the proposed projects. At this time, I'm not sure who I can hand it over to. Mr. Santos, does it go to senior, or do I appoint somebody to it?
It's your choice. There's no legal,
There is no legal-
there's no legal requirement. It would just, whoever would like to volunteer to handle this item.
Okay, do I have any volunteers? If not, I will, Mr. Roth, you need to earn your 300. You're in charge. And before you begin, let me step out and let me know, okay? Thank you.
All right, so the item is direction, or discussion and direction of CMAQ application submission for the 2023 CMAQ call for projects. So this time we'll take it out to, or council, any questions or anything?
We would go to staff for a presentation and then.
Yeah, sorry. First time.
Sure. So before we get started, Councilmember Roth, we will have Noe that will present this one, but just by foundational background, we're seeking council input before we submit an application. So really the opportunity here is to gather council feedback, council information on whether the projects that we've preliminarily identified as potential projects are projects that the council would like to get behind, or if there are other projects that the council prefers us to go after and evaluate. So with that being said, Noe.
Yes, good evening, council members. Noe Martinez from the Office of the City Engineer. And as it was mentioned, this item is to seek direction and approval from the City Council to basically select the candidate projects for submittal for funding for the CMAQ funding program. CMAQ stands for Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Program. It's a mouthful, but with that said, on the screen you can see there a copy of the map that was included with the with the staff report. And just to give a quick background on this program, it is, as the name says it on the program, this program is, the purpose of it is to reduce emissions, and primarily by eliminating congestion, traffic congestion, and promoting non-motorized modes of transportation, such as sidewalks and bike lanes and bike paths. This program does come with a string of requirements that the recipient must comply with. Just to name a few, to comply with federal requirements, meaning conducting all the environmental documents like CEQA and NEPA and right-of-way acquisition and basically everything that comes with the federal requirements. It also asks for projects that are that can readily be implemented, generally within the first 2 years. And then it does, one of the federal requirements also that come with this program is to comply with Buy America. And in case you don't know, Buy America means that if there's any equipment bought as part of the grant, it has to comply. It has to be certified that it was not only manufactured but built in the United States, and those are usually challenging requirements because, as you may all know, most of a lot of the equipment comes from overseas. So, with that said, on the screen there you'll see 2 projects that were identified, and this was in coordination with both our interim city manager and the public works director. And to describe the projects briefly, the first one, it's J Street, and basically a sidewalk infill project, which is typically what we've done here in the city in the last few years. And then the other project that we've identified, or improvement, because it's going to be one project, just separate locations. It's the sidewalk infill for Stefani, and you can see there on the Stephanie? Okay, Stephanie, and you can see on the map, it would, the project would go from Davis to Campbell. It would provide much needed handicap ramp access at the locations noted with the dot, and then the rest would obviously be sidewalk, curb, and gutter, as there is none at this point. One of the unique aspects of this particular project is that it has been identified in the past by the city as a candidate for SB1 funding. That's the other transportation funding, one of the other transportation funding sources available to the city. And so what the city would look at if this project is awarded is possibly leveraging the funds to not only do the sidewalk, but also to rehab some of the pavement that is needed within this section of the street. Now, we have come up with a preliminary estimate for this project or for these improvements, and we've estimated at this time it would be just over just over $600,000. And if approved tonight, our office would proceed with preparing the applications, which are due next month, September 8th, I believe. So that would just give us enough time to put everything together. With that said, at this time I would entertain any questions or comments.
Council? Any questions for Noah?
I just want to give my input on future because I realize there's a hard deadline on September 8th. We only have one council meeting, and to do all the background and everything necessary in order for you to submit an application, there just isn't any time. So with that being said, I believe it was like maybe 2 months ago, we had another item come before us, Public Works, and the interim talk about more sidewalks being infield projects coming before the council and approving them. But one of the things that I'd like to see moving forward, because this is money that we know is coming, well, hopefully we have to match and all that. But anyways, some of the ideas that I would like to see come forward for the city of Livingston, not only just to have walkability, because that is around Arcadian Park, but with better planning and seeing some of the items that our residents would like to see, such as a skate park, that would have to come from different funding. You know, there in Arcadian, just picturing it there, and then having walkable sidewalks attaching from the ones from the residents. So completing projects like that so that it makes the park usable rather than just the perimeter of it, just like what's happening over there with Max Foster Sports Complex. So that having other items so that our residents can walk throughout the park rather than around it. And some more items as well would be more bike paths, you know, just incorporating them on our roads so that we do have those pathways. Because we've talked about it in the past, is having those types of areas for scooters, because that slab of sidewalk just isn't enough room. It's just made for pedestrians, but making it usable for the scooters that they have, and bikes for our youth, skateboards if they're allowable. So making other paths, and even just the markings along the roadways, identifying it as a bike pathway. And the Rexplex is coming, so perhaps we can think of and the station as well. So maybe we can start thinking about ways where we can put in chargeable stations so that when people come to visit, they have they're charging their vehicles as they're waiting at the recreation center, are waiting to catch the next train. They can use those facilities, because we do not have any here in Livingston, but if we thought it out for future use, then maybe we can bring that.
Yes, definitely. Councilmember Soto, that's a great point. And as a matter of fact, usually when it comes to planning and going after funds for projects, the city would have a plan in place. And for this particular type of improvements, as I understand, the COG, MCAG, is currently preparing an active transportation plan for the region. And I believe they've contacted Miguel for information on that in terms of identifying possible projects and whatnot, or improvements. So I don't want to speak for Miguel, but since he's here, he may have some information for you to share on that. And that plan will definitely provide some direction for the city in the future in terms of seeking funding. And to the point of EV stations, they are eligible under this kind of program, but as I mentioned earlier, because of the Buy America requirements, it becomes really challenging sometimes to be able to implement some of this type of equipment projects. My understanding is that this type of equipment right now, it is certified, but there's very limited. There's a very few amounts of manufacturers that qualify for that, so it would be a challenge to get something like that implemented in this time for this particular program.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions? All right, I'm taking it out to public comment. Anyone on the phone? Hearing none, take it out to the people in the audience. Any comments? No public comment at this time. So, council, any other questions, or do we have anyone to make a motion?
can move forward with a motion to approve the CMAQ application submission for the 2023 CMAQ call for projects.
There's a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
Just so that I'm clear, it's to utilize the current proposed project that's been included in the backup, is that correct?
Correct.
All right, thank you.
So there is a motion on the table.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Roll call. Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Mann?
Yes.
Councilmember Roth?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 3-0.
Thank you, Mr. Roth. Okay, item 8, this is a council discussion and consideration of possibly creating an ad hoc committee for discussion related to sales tax for safety, fire services, appointing 2 council members to ad hoc committee. This item was brought forward by myself, and as some of you may or may not know, I'm sure the council does, CAL FIRE is now moving towards 2 firefighters or 2 personnel per station. And currently, Livingston has 1 firefighter or whatever level they're at, which is shared, the cost is shared between City of Livingston and Merced County based on the percentage of the calls. And usually, depending on what numbers you look at, it's about 60 to 65% city calls and the balance is through the county, and it gets funded accordingly. So if everything moves forward, then we will have to have another firefighter. That means there will be increase in cost. Based on what I know from previously, and I don't think things have changed a whole lot, because I've had conversation with our interim city manager, funding is going to be very difficult to achieve. But Livingston still has to comply and has to move forward with what may be a financial support we have to give. It becomes a challenge. How do we pay for it? Yes, we can pay through general fund, but it won't be long before that fund is exhausted. It becomes very, very difficult to do that. There may be a small increase through state, the taxes collected. I'm not sure if it'd be enough to offset the total increase in cost. I don't know what the cost is going to be for adding another personnel over there. Nobody does, because it's all going to be based on level of service, type of person put in, and I'm sure the city and the county will have a very long-term and discussion on how they can justify or how the cost will be shared. So based on that, I think we need to at least explore the idea of putting forward to the voters, because we can't add to see if the voters are interested in a ballot measure, which we can decide, but they would have to vote, put on, I'm looking at 2024 November election. But prior to that, we as a city need to do our research based on different factors on if we propose a sales tax or whatever we propose, is how much it can be raised or how it will be and what the cost is going to be. There's a lot of work to be done on there. So And to do this, it's going to take a lot of work on whoever's, the two people are on this committee and working with our staff and, of course, the county. That's why I had asked to see if we have people that are willing to take on this monumental task to work with staff, and I'm sure we will have, I can't remember the name of the folks that does our taxes and tells us how much we're getting for sales, but whoever they'll be appointed and they'll be able to help us if it's quarter cent, half cent, whatever it is, how much can be raised, and there is no, and it'll be pretty open. It can be used for other safety issues, I think, or even considering, because I believe Mr. Santos can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you earmark a particular item, it requires a higher percentage of voter approval to pass. If it's a general increase, it requires a 50.1, I believe. 50% plus one vote. It's a bit of...
It's not as
But
cut and
that's-
dry, but generally speaking, the more specific the tax is, it can bring it from a general tax to a special tax. If something's designated a special tax, then that's when you get into
Yes.
the increased voter requirement, effectively a three-quarter vote,
Yeah.
or above a
Yeah,
majority.
So whoever we appoint needs to be understanding that some of those requirements, and I'm sure the staff and everybody will be able to guide the people forward. And of course, they would come back to the council for final passage and to put the item on November election if the council so desire, then it's up to the voters. So based on that, I would like to ask if we have anybody interested. I did get I get a text message from Mayor. He said he wouldn't be totally upset if we appoint him. However, I like to always say, if anybody wants to take the challenge, it's a good learning experience to see if anybody is interested to first volunteer. So does anybody wish to volunteer for this task or appoint somebody?
I'll volunteer.
Yeah, I have one volunteer, Mr. Roth. Do I have anybody else that wish to volunteer? No one jumping forward. Okay, all right, then I will volunteer. I'm sorry? As I should? Well, but you know me over the years. I always like to ask for volunteers because it makes everybody feel part of the team. That's why I always say, hey, who wants it? If not, then I like to appoint whoever's not here because they should have been here to begin with. So, okay, then I have Mr. Mon and myself appointed. Does anybody wish to make a motion as a volunteers?
Just to make sure, I think it was Councilmember Roth.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
My apologies. I'm a little rusty. I haven't done this for a little bit, But before I do put this forward, I'm not going to mess up this time. This item is now open to the public. Does anybody from the audience wish to comment on this item? If not, anybody on the phone? If not, then we'll bring it back to the council. Any further comments? Then, was there a motion? Huh?
One quick question for clarification. Is the motion to create the committee and then appoint the members? Okay. Has there been as part of the motion, we should also include the duration of the existence of the committee and a brief description of the scope of the actions that the committee will undertake, so it's clear for the record.
Yeah, well, based on that, I think it should go to, what day is the 2024 election? November, what, of 2024? Make it sunset maybe a week before. That way, if it goes longer, it doesn't matter, but because that committee may want to get involved in,
To be safe, we could probably just do November 1st.
yeah, but if it hasn't been done by then, it's not going to happen, so, okay. So do I have a motion based on,
I would like to motion to, one, create an ad hoc committee, and to appoint Mayor Pro Tem and Mr. Jason Roth to this committee, which would go to till November 1st, 2024.
I have a motion by Councilmember Rahman. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a second by Councilmember Roth. May I get a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Soto?
Yes.
Councilmember Mann?
Yes.
Councilmember Roth?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Samra?
Yes.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Okay, we'll be getting with you, Mr. Lopez, and lay out the groundwork and get with our, who is our people that do our taxes, that give us the reports? And I'm seeing that, I'm drawing a blank right now.
HDL.
HDL, there you go. HDL, there you go. Okay. So that's, and we'll move forward with that. And at this time, council, any further discussion? Any future items suggested? Ms. McGill, you were somewhat late. I already called for staff reports. Do you have any staff report to give at this time?
Mayor Pro Tem, we can't, because that time has come and passed, we can't then go out and ask
Okay.
for
All right,
staff
okay, that's
report.
fine. Okay.
Absent a motion and a second.
Well, okay. Well, then if there's nothing, we'll just save it till next week then. Okay, any further discussion for future items? If not, we are in adjournment. This is.